Hi, everybody. So this is an exercise today where we're going to be honing in on our breathing a little bit and just building some awareness, specifically of how to manage our breaths. And what we mean by managing our breaths, that's a term you may have heard and you may understand it great, or you may go, yeah, I hear that a lot. I have no idea what it means. When we talk about managing our breaths, we're talking about finding strategies to take in only the breath that we're going to use, only the breath that we're going to need, and then use that breath by the end of the phrase that we're going to sing so that we're in that nice position to take the next inhalation and fill up with air again. So that's our goal today, is to just find some strategies to practice managing that. We do not want to get in the habit of just taking the biggest breath that we can for every single phrase. There are a lot of phrases where you're going to need near max capacity, and that's cool. We should have the ability to do that. They don't give any medals for the person who can bring the most air from the room into their body. And frequently we get into troubles in short phrases because we have too much air. And I don't know how many singers I've seen get to the end of a phrase and have to push out the rest of their air so that they're in a position to take a good, healthy inhalation again. So we're going to practice managing, taking only the breath we need and then using it by the end of the phrase. We're going to use our arms for this exercise. So before we start to work with measured air, we're going to just take a few comfortable breaths. And when we breathe in, we're going to breathe in and then out. And again, in and out. We want to be in our best singing alignment. And as we breathe in, we want to let ourselves feel gathered and strong. And then as we breathe out, as we know, the spine bunches and gathers a little bit on the inhalation and then lengthens on the way out. And in our best breathing, we want to keep the chest in a stable position so that the lower breathing musculature is able to do what it needs to do without a collapse here or anything like that. So let this inhalation here help us gather, and let this exhalation here come with that length in the spine and that supported, expanded posture so that we're not collapsing inward on ourselves. That's the idea here. Go ahead and take a couple more just silently. In, out. And the other thing that we want to do is to practice moving our arms at a nice, smooth, even rate so that it moves with the air. We don't want to do this. In, out. Where we wind up either running out of air before we've found our end position or finding our end position before we've used up the air in our body. We want our arms to be an externalization of the internal gesture of singing. That's our goal with our kinesthetics, right? So when we do these measured exercises, we're going to breathe in silently because that's how we do it for singing. When we breathe out, we're going to make a shh, SH sound, and we're going to sustain that. And the reason we're going to do that is because when we breathe out and sing, the vocal folds create resistance, and we want to simulate that resistance, but not in a way that's going to fatigue our vocal folds. So we're just going to create an SH at the front to give ourselves that little bit of a sensation of resistance so that we can practice managing our air with a resistance in place. So we're going to breathe in silently for 4 counts, then we're going to breathe out on shh for 4 counts. And our goal is to make this smooth, be all the way in after 4, smooth, be all the way out after 4. And at the end of our shh, we're going to end with an exhalation. We're going to do that just to practice keeping the vocal tube open so that we don't get into the habit of ending our sounds shh by pinching I use the analogy of the garden hose, and then you pinch it shut and the water is cut off. We don't want to do that. We want to keep that nice resonance open. That's going to be our default practice. And then when we do decide to end the resonance in a different way, it's an artistic choice and not a habit. So I'll just demonstrate it one time. We're going to go at about 1, 2, ready, go. Shh. And ending with that inhalation. So I'll count and I'll move the arms. I'm not going to breathe with you because I'm going to be your auditory signal as far as how time is passing. So in for 4, out for 4. Ready, go. In, 2, 3, out for 4. Shh, 2, 3, 4, release. We want to get through the end of that 4th count before we take that release. Because the other thing that we're learning as we're practicing measuring our breath is we're reminding ourselves that our units of time in music, which we often call beats, those are not instants in time. Those have a start, a middle, and an end. Beat 1, let's say beat 2, lasts all the way from the end of beat 1 until the start of beat 3. So if we're in this time, 2, 3, 4, our beat is shh. That's an entire unit of length, and it's going to become very important when we start doing shorter inhalations. So let's do one more time. In for 4, out for 4. Ready? Go. In, 2, 3, out for 4. Shh. 2, 3, 4. And ending with that breath in. Good. In for 4, out for 8. Ready? Go. In, 2, 3, out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And ending again with that inhalation. So you probably noticed that the speed of your arms on the way in was different than the speed of your arms on the way out, and that's our externalization of our management strategy. We have to get the air in the same amount of time that's going to sustain our exhalation for twice as much time at about the same pressure or resistance. So that's our challenge in this. Let's do one more time. In for 4, out for 8. Ready? Go. In, 2, 3, out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. In for 2, out for 8. So we're going to have to breathe in at an even quicker rate. We're going to have to bring in that same amount of air that we just brought in 4 counts in 2 counts. And the difference between our speed in and our speed out is going to be more noticeable. In for 2, out for 8. Ready? Go. In, out for 8. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I hope we're starting to notice some things about our body and how the breath timing really matters, and starting to gain some strategies for measuring, for managing our air. We just did in for 2, out for 8. Let's try in for 2, out for 12. If you can't make it all the way to 12 at this tempo, that's okay. That just means that the more you practice management strategies and the more you get in tune with your body and practice good alignment and good breathing, you have something to look forward to. I just started doing yoga a couple of weeks, and I have a lot to look forward to. Every time I get in a pose, I go, well, maybe someday down the road I'll be able to do that for real. So that's why we plug away. That's why we practice. In for 2, out for 12. Ready? Go. In, out for 12. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And releasing with that inhalation again. Cool. Let's go back to 8, out. This time we're going to do in for 1, out for 8. And this is where that management strategy becomes really crucial as far as understanding that a beat, a unit of time, lasts from the end of the previous unit of time until the start of the next unit of time. Because frequently if we think, oh, I have a beat to take a breath, we take this breath. We take the fastest breath we can. I only have 1 beat, but we actually have this much time. That's a lot of time to bring air in. So see if you can measure that entire beat when you take in your breath and not just take the shh. That's not what we want. We want this. Shh. That's going to be our goal for our inhalation rate, is to use the entire time and let the arms tell us if we're successful with that. This is in for 1, out for 8. Ready? Go. Shh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I hope this helped you gain some awareness of what it is to manage our air, and of how the different rates of inhalation, exhalation can interplay in such a way that we don't overtax ourselves by having too much air, or hurt the musical ability of our voice by having not enough air as we move forward. We're going to have a few extensions of this exercise that are going to come up in the future, So be sure to check back in this section down the road and look for part 2, part 3, and maybe even part 4 if we get really crazy. But this is a great exercise, I think, to come back to again and again and just build our awareness. It gives us time, because it's nice and slow, to check in with our bodies, to check in with our breathing, to find out how we're doing, to use our arms again to externalize what's going on internally, and become aware of what our breathing looks like and what our breath management strategies look like. Thanks.